Alright guys, welcome back to the whenever I decide to do it Cheese Bowl update. Thank you for the people that listened to my last one. Had some positive feedback there. I'm having fun this year, and I like doing this, although this one hopefully won't be another 2.5 hours. No promises. So, we are in week 8. It's really kind of crunch time here. There's 5 games left. Really tight crowd. Kind of too close for comfort here. You have 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th place all at 5 and 3. You got 3, 4, and 4s after that. Technically everybody, as long as you have 4 wins, is pretty much in the picture. It would take a miracle for the 3-win teams to make it, but we'll see. I've seen stranger things happen. But for all intents and purposes, it's it's very high anxiety, very high stress mode now for the guys that are sitting at the top of the pack. We have a lot to lose, and just getting into the playoffs is all any of us want to gain. So ultimately all our goals are the same, and you got to kind of keep your foot on the gas pedal. These are when injuries and bye weeks will get to you. I got to admit, I'm 6-2. I'm a game ahead of the pack. I'm sitting at number 1, and I'm number 1 in points. So that's really going to help me. I have another league I'm in. I'm 7-1. I'm first place, but I'm 4th place in points. I'm two consecutive losses away from being out of the playoffs, which really kind of makes me realize the gravity of the situation that we're in here. I'm, at this point, playing for a first-round bye. We do have those in this league. So when the playoffs start, the top 2 teams won't have to participate, putting them at a huge advantage. Winning 3 games in a row in the playoffs at the end of the year, injuries, stuff like that, taking effect. It's really a difficult situation to be in. I feel like my team, I'm not incredibly confident in, and usually I'm the first guy to brag about my drafting and my waiver wires and everything like that. Man, just I'm looking at it, and I got big names that are underperforming, and I have new guys that are performing above their expectations, but hardly a squad of elites. I do have 1 at the 3 main positions, so that does put me in a good class with Patrick Mahomes, Zach Ertz, and James Conner. I do have Bell also, the ultimate fuck up, you could say. Taking him first, really kind of, man, I hate looking at this guy on my fucking bench every week. I wish I could go out and make a trade. But at this point, you're still in first place. This is the time where you do have that luxury of taking a risk on Bell and saying, hey, I'm not going to get rid of this guy. Maybe he plays. Maybe I start him and Connor at the same time, like last year with Kamara and Ingram. 2 guys that combined put up 45 points every game. Maybe one was 35, one was 10. Maybe there was 2 25s. Maybe it was a 30, a 20. But, those turn into 2 guys that are on the same team that you must start. I feel like that's kind of the situation I'm cruising towards in Pittsburgh there with James Conner and Le'Veon Bell. The one thing that I am blissfully being ignorant toward is the fact that maybe Bell doesn't play a fucking game this year. It seemed like he was losing the locker room earlier in the year, which early in the year it's easy to lose the locker room. When you have the opportunity to make the playoffs, you fucking put Bell back on the field if he's willing to play. Really kind of bullshit what he's doing. He did it last year, but ultimately he played right away. I hate him. I hate Pittsburgh. The guy made it very clear, please don't franchise me, whatever, like make a contract, we'll work for him from there, but I don't want to be franchised. So what do? They franchise him, and now, they're really fucking lucky Connor is stepping up, because Bell would have that team by the fucking balls. Tomlin's job would be on the line. It would be a fucking disaster in Pittsburgh if it weren't for James Conner. So That's a guy that is the heart, the lifeblood of that team, and I am reaping the benefits. Thankfully, he wasn't drafted, and I got to pick him up. Now, I will say that over the course of this year, outside of the first week before the season even started, I have made a mess of my team with the waiver wire. I'm not proud of the moves I made. Early in the year, I picked up James Conner off waivers, and I picked up Patrick Mahomes. And something about that, because you got to keep in mind here, I dropped Jared Goff for Patrick Mahomes. This guy had nothing proven, all hype, all talk. That was ballsy. Really could have blown up on me because Goff is a pretty locked in QB1. I had to play against him this last week. Wasn't fun. Pulled out the win, but that was a big risk for me to do. Same thing, dropping somebody that I drafted for Connor, thinking in my head fully that Bell would play, but it just wound up working out for me. That I had lost to Jesse, and I had a low enough waiver wire pick to the point where I could grab him. So that wound up working out for me. But now looking at my team, my wide receiver 1 at this point is Robert Woods, who is universally in fantasy pretty respected, strong wide receiver on a team with a hell of a lot of weapons, man. Somehow he still eats every week. You got Cooper Kupp that's definitely drawing a lot of double coverage. Brandon Cooks is having a hell of a season, but I think most of the defensive, it's weird because Woods is that guy. He's not a slot guy. He's definitely deeper than a slot guy. But you have Brandon Cooks, who's definitely your deep threat, and Cooper Kupp as your middle range threat. But I mean, the guy could catch anything. He's got huge hands. He's a big guy. He's built like a tight end. He's basically he's what you expected Mike Evans to be. But make no mistake, if him and Mike Evans were on the same team, he would be outperforming him tenfold. His yards after the catch, it's hard to take this guy down. He's got that corn-fed Oklahoma fucking white boy, grew up on a farm kind of muscle to him. Really hard to bring down, especially in the open field. But somehow Woods just finds his niche. He gets his 100 yards. He'll get a touchdown here and there. He's been carrying. He was supposed to be my wide receiver 2. He is my 1. Great value pick in the 10th round of our draft. So, but am I confident going into the playoffs? Robert Woods is my fucking number 1, my guy. He doesn't really put up a lot of 20s. He puts up a lot of 18s, 19s, 17s, Am I that confident? I don't know. I just hope he keeps doing what he does. He doesn't seem to be an injury risk as, Cooks and Kupp have been this year. Kupp, seems like a big guy. Big guys have health problems. Look at guys like Rob Gronkowski. You hold them up on this pedestal, but you forget they're humans too. And Brandon Cooks is kind of more of a slender, like thin-built kind of guy. I think it's easy to rattle his cage, knock him around, maybe make him miss some time. I think Woods fits perfectly on that team. He fits perfectly on my team, but it does raise some concerns about where my elites are. You got Keenan Allen. What a fucking bust for me this year, man. Keenan Allen just not getting it done. He is... ranked 80th overall. Looking at his game log, 25 the first week, great sign, but then 15, not bad. 4, 13, 18, 12. He hasn't touched 20 points since week 1. That is a major concern because that's my second round pick. That is supposed to be my elite wide receiver. Now, in the grand world of watching an NFL football game, are you looking at Keenan Allen as a Megatron or a Julio or like a Randy Moss or these Terrell Owens, big field stretching guys? No, but you're looking at it as fantasy football PPR. He has been man, I'm a little lit. He has been Phil Rivers' go-to guy for man, years now. And the risk you assume when you draft Keenan Allen is health. You know, the guy has had plenty of health issues. He's missed plenty of time. I had him several years ago. He missed almost the whole season. You know, you're not worried about production from this guy when you draft him. And I'm really taking a beating on him, and it's almost an anomaly because, I mean, who the hell else does he really have to throw to on that team? I mean, they don't even have a friggin' tight end, for Christ's sake. You don't have much of a deep threat. Mike Williams, I guess, is it, and you have one of the best rushers in the game to kind of keep the defense honest, and he's just not getting it done with Keenan Allen this year. I don't know whose fault it is, but that is definitely a concern of mine. We're approaching our trade deadline, which the date escapes me, but it's coming up, boys, and you know, trades don't happen in week 12 in fantasy football. It's coming, and it's coming quicker than we think, so I'm going to have to look into that for you guys. But at this point, you know, does the name recognition of Keenan Allen really get me much? I can't afford to drop him. Clearly, you know, his production is that of at least a strong flex, but I have to start him weekly. You know, I made some fuck-ups. You know, when I said I wasn't proud of my waiver moves, I went out and grabbed John Brown, having a fucking great season. John Brown. And then I trade him straight up for Will Fuller. Now listen, do I regret making that? Hindsight is 2020. That's like the Le'Veon Bell in the first round. In PPR, you draft Le'Veon Bell in the first round. The guy puts up 40-point games twice a month. You have to take him. Did it work out for me? No. Did I make the wrong decision at the time? Also no. But did the same thing, man. I'm high on Will Fuller. I'm high on Deshaun Watson. Something happened with that O-line, and Watson is getting murdered every week, but still, somehow, with Watson eating 5 to 7 sacks a game, with Fuller getting knocked out of every game, he always met his projections. He always scored a touchdown. Again, hindsight 2020. Would I rather have John Brown now? What the fuck do you think? I dropped Demarius Thomas to waivers for D.D. Westbrook. I fucking fancy myself a fantasy guru. I gotta turn my phone off and fucking bury it under a goddamn lock and key when I drink and the night of waiver moves on Tuesdays, because I get in my own fucking head, and then here we are dropping Demarius Thomas for a fucking Blake Bortles receiver. What the fuck is wrong with me? I don't deserve to win it all. The games that I'm winning now, yeah. I really should be 7-1. I lost to Franklin on something that if you tell someone I lost the game because of this, they look at you like you had 45 fucking heads if they didn't see the game. I lost because Tyreek Hill dropped a wide open touchdown placed directly in his hands by Patrick Mahomes. The best quarterback in football right now threw a fucking dime to an elite wide receiver one, and the fucking guy dropped it in the end zone, costing me the game. At 7-1, I could sleep at night. At 6-2, with 5 other assholes under me at 5-3, I'm in fucking high stress mode. I'm riding James Conner, Zach Ertz, and Patrick Mahomes. I'm riding them. I'm riding them hard. Hopefully to the playoffs, but ultimately I'm really looking for that first round bye. My tight end situation outside of Ertz, a mess. Thank God I'm playing Jamil this week, who has been really stepping up, kicking ass. Good for you, Jamil. What, 5 in a row? Fucking sick, dude. Yeah, that ends this week, though. Thank God I didn't have a tight end. I was sweating bullets, shitting bricks. And then our game starts. Wow. I want to see if I could go through the transactions here and see exactly what the thought process was when you acquired the Oakland Raiders defense to play me. I'm using a really old fucking phone right now. Oh, here we go. Transactions. What do we got here? Wow, dude. You really pulled a sneaky on me today. At 7:23 p.m. 7:23 p.m. Dog, you were at work. No, you weren't. Never mind. I was there. 7:23. Half an hour before the game started, you dropped Tennessee's defense and picked up Oakland. It gave you a -8, bro. You effectively took my no tight end out of the picture. Now we're looking at a legit fight here. I still might have a trick up my sleeve on that front, but wow, ill-advised, man. Marquise Goodwin, you're done. You're off the Warm Pink Centers. I was super high on him to start the season, but that was obviously with Jimmy G throwing to him. Jimmy G not there. Still have respect for the guy, but, can't really get anything going. Has a 31-point game. I say, you know what? Maybe San Fran will open their fucking eyes and start feeding this guy the fucking ball. Literally let him die on the field. But the best bet you have to look respectable if you're the San Francisco 49ers is to feed the ball to Marquise Goodwin, and they don't do it. The guy gave me like 13 points last week. He caught the ball once. Okay, you understand what that means? He's making big plays. He's fast. He's got good hands. And now you got this Muller guy, Mullen, whatever his fucking name is, looking like a young Drew Brees tonight. Now I gotta bench him and stash him because eventually he's gonna figure out how to use him. But these are all what ifs. So here's why why my team I'm a little bit nervous about. Chris Carson's starting to step up. I'm liking that. Demaryius Thomas fucking dropped him for bullshit. Now he's going to wind up being the number 2 in Houston. I could have had that going for me, and now I'm just praying that Kiki comes back. All right. So now, speaking of Jamil, let's get on him. Let's get on his team. He's on a nice little win streak right now. Let's see here. All right. So now Jamil is sitting at 5th place in the playoffs currently. What do we got? A 4-game win streak going. He hasn't lost in a month. His team's coming together. Good for you. Good for you, Jamil. I hope I kick your fucking ass this week. But let's take a look at your team. So you got Fitzmagic going, and you know what? I love that. I picked him up in my other league. I'm starting him this week. I believe in it. I saw it happen. Whether I was watching the games, watching the numbers, watching highlights, he's got a chemistry with this team. And this spiteful motherfucker, Deshaun Jackson, was begging to get the fuck out. And you saw a connection with them at that famous post-game interview. That Jesse has the picture as his profile. Djax and Fitz are so that's going to be something to look forward to watching. I'm happy for the guy. I feel like he's always been looked at as like, a guy that'll start somewhere on a shit team and then end up getting benched eventually or just not start the next year. Never really had a ton of success, but always seemed like a class guy. Always went out there with a plan. Always plays the game hard. Doesn't play cheap, doesn't complain, gets sacked a lot, and just, it seems like a guy that you want to root for. So good for him. Tampa Bay hasn't been a relevant team for a long time. They won't be relevant come the end of this year. They have absolutely no running game. Peyton Barber, complete fucking wash. You got Evans, you got Djax, you got 2 good tight ends in Cameron Brate and O.J. Howard. So, Fitz has a lot of options there. He's a smart football mind, and they seem to work well with him. So I hope he doesn't fuck me too bad via you, but I hope he has a good enough game that, I don't regret starting him. This is 2 weeks in a row that I have to start and go against my starting quarterback. Last week it was Mahomes. Wound up getting my first loss over there, but catapulted me to a win over Trey here. So, Mahomes giveth, Mahomes taketh away. I hope Fitzpatrick, we kind of break even on him. Good on you for starting him, though. It's a good start. You got Emmanuel Sanders really overperforming this year. Usually he's second fiddle to Demaryius Thomas, really kind of stood out there because both of them were on the trading block, and DT was the one to go. I think it's pretty. I think that's not getting as much attention as it deserves, man. He was really center of that offense for quite some time now. He has struggled with drops over the past 2 years. Really kind of upsetting to see because he's a guy that really, he practices hard, he tries hard, he goes out there, he plays the game, he plays an honest game, and he's a hard-working athlete, and you hate to see him, underperforming. And now I feel like because of, this year and Sanders' chemistry with Keenum, who, again, another fucking bust, I think made him a viable starter and kind of kept him in Denver. I think DT will have success in Houston. I think he'll end up on the plus side of that. Denver's a pretty proud team, but they need some work. They definitely need some work. They need a quarterback. Now they need to put another gun out there in the wide receiver land. You have Lindsey as your number one running back, who's really killing it, really doing a great job. But he's a guy like a McCaffrey or a James White, or you're gonna end up running the guy into the fucking ground. I think he's too young into the league to really handle the volume that they need out of him as a running back. But let's get back to your team, Jamil. You got Emmanuel Sanders. He's going against Houston. Could be a tough game for him, but then again, without DT, he's really going to see some more targets. He's been making the most of them, so I'm a little nervous about that. You got Cooper Kupp, one of my favorite guys out there. You got a good team, man. You got Travis Kelce, Latavius Murray, who's really not amazing as far as a pure running back goes, but volume speaks volumes. So if you're the number one guy at any team, you have the potential to be a number one in fantasy football. So he's been carrying you. Dalvin Cook's still on the team, man. I'm really hoping that guy makes some kind of a comeback, but it's really looking bleak at this point. Really sad to see that happen, especially to Trey too. I mean, your team's so awful, and now you just dropped your first round pick to waivers. Fucking crazy. I don't know. I don't know what to say, man. I don't know how long this Murray show can keep going on for. You got Aaron Jones. Now that Montgomery's gone, he's gonna see a lot of runs, but man, they're really just a kind of a poor running team. Going back for oh God, man, I guess at least half a decade at this point. I can't remember the last relevant running back out of Green Bay. I mean, that's something that happens, obviously, when you have, Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback. You got Jimmy Graham out there as a tight end. Got Devontae Adams. Now you got these guys that when Adams and Graham are hurt, they come up and they're fucking dropping 20 bombs on us. Being a running back in Green Bay is not the most desirable position, but for you, at least you got the number one guy. You got Demaryius Thomas. You got Russell Wilson, man. Fucking Russell Wilson, this is November is when he starts to heat up, man. And when he gets hot, you cannot stop that guy. He's going to be dropping 30s and 40s before you know it. So, I mean, you have potential there. Do I see a really frightening lineup? No. You got a mildly strong receiving core. I'd say comparable with mine. Maybe a little bit better on wide receiver. Tight end to tight end. Listen, Kelce, Ertz, you're just lucky you don't have to play Ertz this week, bro, because I like Ertz more than Kelce. Kelce's got a better gun thrown to him, but Ertz is the number one target overall on that team. The guy scores his fucking touchdown every week. He's getting 10, 11, 12, 13 targets. Just crazy. The guy has great hands, no history of injury. I'm taking Ertz over Kelce any day of the week, but overall, I'm taking Kelce too. I'm taking Kelce number 2. Gronk is, he's there. I mean, he's just, not getting there. He's not getting open. He's not a guy that's going to drag 6 guys behind him anymore, So that's something that Josh Turner has to worry about, who today we actually had a proposed trade, which I ultimately wound up declining, but we were going to go Le'Veon Bell for Rob Gronkowski, because ultimately I would get to use him this week. I'm in a tight end nightmare, But for the rest of the year, would I use him? I don't know. I think I bench him for Ertz almost all the time. My main concern is that I am a big fan of depth and bench, and I don't really have any depth at tight end. So Ertz, if he were ever to miss some time, would really tank my season because I am not extremely strong anywhere else outside of the quarterback position. But Jamil, you got potential. Now, in order to judge your potential, let's look at the other top teams. So you got Jesse at number 2, defending champ. Another solid looking team. I would compare your team to my team. Really good, worthy of being, at the top of the list. However, do I see an unstoppable force here? I don't. Do I see something that you should be nervous about? I do. You got Kirk Cousins, great fantasy quarterback this year. I love him. Devontae Adams, that's Rodgers' boy. The guy comes to life in the fourth quarter. He's like the 04 Red Sox that couldn't get a hit before the 7th inning. Devontae Adams will go into the fourth quarter with 6 points, and you're playing against him, and you're like, nice. And then before you know it, he's got fucking 28. It's an anomaly. He's been doing it for years now. That's great to have him. Juju Smith-Schuster, and applaud me for not butchering that name in the state that I'm in right now. So you got Schuster. He's putting up the numbers this year. He looks good. Yeah, I mean, good guy to have. I mean, but again, it's like me talking about Keenan Allen, if I go into a game and I'm down 20 points, do I think he can do it? Yeah. Does he get it done this year? Nah. So, you're second Antonio Brown, but, you're on a high-powered offensive team. You got a great quarterback thrown to you, and this is when Ben gets hot, too. This is the time where Ben and Russell Wilson go into full bloom, and they just start ripping apart people in fantasy. 40-point games, 30-point minimums. Ben is going to make Juju look good, so that's going to work for you, I think. You got Kenyon Drake, who I love. I'm extremely high on. Not really putting up the numbers I thought he would this year. But the good news for you is they project him pretty low. 13 points from a Kenyon Drake is pretty easy to get. I think we all remember his game where he just absolutely obliterated the Patriots last year. Fucking drove me crazy. Fucking Jay Cutler leading with Kenyon Drake to destroy New England. I'll never fucking forget that game. So you got a good running back there. You got Melvin Gordon, complete fucking workhorse. Almost never gets hurt. If he is hurt, you're fucked because that dude is hanging 30s every other week at this point. He is the only source of bankable offense with the Chargers, which is fucking crazy as a Keenan Allen owner. You just can't count on anybody. They don't have a tight end. The wide receiver core is pretty shot. The only thing that's bankable out there is Melvin Gordon. And you got a great backup behind him, Austin Eckler. And he winds up with like 12, 13-point games. So really, they have become a rushing smash-mouth football team. Maybe because their defense isn't terribly great. They want to, kind of extend the clock and bank on a guy like Gordon that can score a touchdown nearly every drive. So that's your horse. He needs to stay healthy. An injury to Melvin Gordon, I think, effectively takes you out of the mix. You have Joe Mixon, which awesome. The guy's putting up numbers. Is he someone that I fear going into him? Not really. But he's spotty. He's got 20, 18, 8, 30, It's great when he's dropping 30. You expect 20, but 8, it's kind of sticky when you get an 8 from him. He's got a 9-point game. He missed a couple games. So Joe Mixon is someone who you got to worry about. You start him with confidence. Obviously, he's the number one on the team. He's got talent. But is he someone like a LeGarrette Blount? Or, like one of these guys that you could kind of barrel through the end of a game when you're up big?